Remember, if you watched my last video, I was going to talk about what time period, or how you would call era, we are not only in an information era or age, but we are in the adaptive age or adaptive era. I would say started 10 years ago from today. And you can argue maybe a little bit before then, but I would definitely say 10 years ago, the adaptive era or adaptive age has begun. So 10 years ago was what, about, I want to say 2015. Put the comments down below and or put a thumbs up if I did the math correctly, because math and I have this weird relationship, but as I've gotten older, I've learned to appreciate it. Sidebar. Yes, we are in a time to where it's not what you know, but it's who you know. I would say it's both. It's what you know and it's who you know. And you have to be able to adapt, especially in these times. We already know that systems that you could depend on, before, it's a little shaky now. From the job market to the housing market, any kind of market, to the stock market, even investment market. It's little caveats and nuts and bolts that it's not as plain to see. You definitely have to dig, and definitely you have to be able to adapt it. Even programs that many have depend on is definitely questionable, from food sources to food banks to housing to financial aid if you're going to school or college, or loans to get out a loan, and establishing credit and so forth. The rules have changed. They've been updated. There's a term, and I know you've all heard this before. Today's price was not yesterday's price, or yesterday's price is not today's price. So back when you can remember, for some eggs only costed $2.37 for a dozen of eggs. Now it can cost from five to $8, maybe even $9, depending on where you're at, where you're coming from. So if you can't adapt in this time period, you're going to be swept, and you're going to be left without. You're going to be locked out, and you won't be able to get back in. It's like you'll be on the sidelines indefinitely. And you'll be, and not by choice, you'll be forced not only on the sidelines, but I would say you would be benched. You won't be able to play the game, right? So the advice, I would advise you to look around, see what's going on, and see what you can do to adapt in these time periods. As well, learn the loopholes, because there's loopholes to everything. The loopholes are just not being shared. So you have very small amount of people that knows the ins and outs and that knows about certain loopholes. You can call it loopholes, or they know the exception is exception to the rule. Now, if you don't adapt, you would be playing a losing game, or you'll be in a losing battle. You won't have no leverage at all. So I'm going to give you an example. So if you are on, government assistance, if you have, EBT, if you have aid for rent, right? Section 8. And if you depend on those government assistance, they can take them away. And a lot of people are finding out how quick the government can take things away. And there's nothing really you can do about it. So make sure that you're in the clear. Make sure you have your paperwork. And make sure that you get a head start before, say, your landlord, files something on you. So you gotta make sure you gotta take care of business. You have to adapt. Now, that's just to give an example of you need to be able to adapt and what can happen when you don't. Now, many of us that are working a 9 to 5, you got to be ready at all times. You got to be able to adapt. You get off work, right? You go to work and then you get off work, maybe 9 to 5, right? Put your 8 hours in. Some jobs maybe 10 or 11 hours. At 7 o'clock or 8, and then what do you do when you get home? You just relax, fix yourself something to eat, spend a very little time with the family, if you have family, and then you go to sleep and you do it all over again, and then you have a day off. You have 1 day off or 2 days off or whatever. What do you do on your day off? You sleep in, you work, you do your work around the house or whatever. And that's all you do. But I would advise you to learn some skills and put some skills aside to where if that source of your income or that job is taken away or is shut down, then you'll be able to stay afloat, you'll be able to get by, you'll be able to adapt and maneuver. And everything is in cycles. So not too long ago the shutdown was COVID, right? Now, years before that, it was unemployment. It was like employment shutdown. Many had receiving the walking papers, the pink slip on the desk, And this was before, what could I say? It was like 2019 or something like that. Or 2018 or something like that, or maybe something like that. But yeah. And so now we are in the adaptive time period. We're in the adaptive age. Now, a few questions you should ask yourself: what can I do to adapt in this period and what's going on right now? How can I adapt, and what should I do to be able to adapt? What should I be looking for? What should I be watching out for? It's not the time to get mad or want to, tear down a store or do other things, try to loot, or spend your energy on figuring, okay, what moves that you have to make. Sometimes you just have to sit and be still. You have to say to yourself, peace, be still. All right? Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell button on more topics like these.